one of the things I think that's being lost on X right now is when Chevron actually came into play. Okay, so I do want to give just a little bit more of a background on like why it would come up in litigation and what it actually impacts and what it doesn't at all. So if there's a statute out there, okay, and the agency just applies the statute without a regulation, without a policy, without some sort of interpretation, okay, then Chevron has nothing to do with anything, okay? It only applies, or used to apply, I guess, when the agency announced an official position and interpretation of an ambiguous statutory term. All right, now that's a lot of legal talk. So what does that mean? If the statute said stop at red lights, there's no ambiguity there, right? There's no way for an agency to say, well, at magenta lights, you can go 10 miles an hour. At blue light, right? And if that happens, if there's a plain statute with no ambiguity, we never talk about Chevron. Okay. So let's say, back to our example, it said, the statute said, slow down for red lights. An agency could maybe come in and say, well, you need to be going 25 miles an hour, 100 feet away, 10 miles an hour, 50 feet away, and 0 miles an hour at the red light. Or you could say they need to be going, 10 miles an hour, 100 feet away, 5 miles an hour, 50 feet away. And there's a way to interpret slow down. Under Chevron, what the courts would do is they would say, okay, let's look at the statute. Is there a kind of spectrum of answers that could fall under this word? If so, as long as the decision fell somewhere within that reasonable spectrum, the court wouldn't do anything about it. And in the most hard to swallow cases, they would say, we disagree with that legal interpretation, but because it's within this spectrum of reasonableness, we're going to defer and we're going to let the agency control the policy. Okay? So in today's world, rather than having this spectrum, it's going to be returned that the court is going to say, here's the best interpretation, and that's the only interpretation. End of story.